Well, I can tell you, I am going to make a note of this day. What is this, July 29th, 2015? And I will be commending this date to my colleagues for the rest of my career here in Congress. I'm so delighted that on a bipartisan basis, we are concerned about racism and eradicating it. And I will recall very fondly that, that this group took this on in a bipartisan manner. I'd like to yield the balance of my time to the ranking member.
Thank you very much. I am sorry that my colleague on the opposite side of the aisle, Mr. Williams, has taken this personally. And this is not about your father. This is about auto dealers who are not just dealers, such as Honda. Honda has a huge finance arm, Honda Financial Services. So it's not about taking on small dealers or dealers like your father or like your business. This is about an industry that for far too long has had the kind of operations with its floor plans and its relationships with dealers, auto manufacturers with dealers, that allow them to mark up, and they have targeted minority communities. And it has been proven that this is done. Again, I keep bringing you back to Honda and to Ally because this is not speculation. And ladies and gentlemen, let me just say this, because I really do believe that you mean well and that you're trying to deal with a constituency that's complained about the way that they are so-called treated by the CFPB. And I have no problems with that, except to say that the proven increase and overcharging is the same thing that we faced with the mortgages and the big banks, with the subprime meltdown that we had. When we looked at predatory lending, what did we find? We found that minorities would charge more despite the fact they earned the same amount of money as their white counterparts, that they paid their bills the same way their white counterparts, but they were targeted. The communities were targeted. Whole communities were devastated, and some of them still have not come back. And this is all about practices that have gone on for too long in this country. And it's got to stop. And for those of us who have been fighting these practices for years, we don't enjoy this. We don't like to have to do this over and over again. But when you sit in a position of responsibility, you would be less than a representative of credibility unless you do this, unless you continue to point out, we can't have our communities raped with overcharging, whether it is private post-secondary schools like the Corinthians, or whether it is payday loans who are charging 300 or 400%, or whether it's automobile dealers who are marking up, you know, these loans $150, $200, $300 more. People say you should pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Minorities will never be able to pull themselves up by their bootstraps if we allow public policy to strip them of their earnings in so many conceivable ways. And so, while I do not enjoy this, it is my responsibility. It is absolutely my responsibility to speak out against these kinds of practices, and I must continue to do it for as long as I have breath. And for those who say that they didn't have any business doing it, it is the Department of Justice. I don't care whose responsibility it is. It is all of our responsibility. And so I would say to you, we must oppose this, even though I have talked extensively with Mr. Perlmutter, and I respect how he sees this. And I respect that he would say, get out of this CFPB, it is DOJ's responsibility. No, it is CFPB's responsibility because they have responsibility for the lenders. I would ask you to reject this. Don't continue down this road of stripping communities of their ability to gather wealth and to have a decent quality of life. I'll yield back my balance of my time.